Hi folks, just here to tell you about our brand new yarn, our new fluff, Lowther lace. We have mentioned it a little bit, or sort of alluded to it, on our Facebook group, the ECY Garden, but I don't think we've probably mentioned it on our general social media yet, mostly just because we've had so much going on, and the social media's fallen by the wayside a little bit just because of time. Anyway, so here it is, our brand new fluff. Hopefully you can see that okay. I've had to kind of prop my phone up in a not really ideal position, so I'll have to try and figure that out for next time I do a video. So this is baby alpaca and silk, and it's really an alternative to our Eldwick lace, which is kid mohair and silk. And like the Eldwick lace, this is a 2-ply lace weight with, let me just check, 300 metres per 50 gram skein. Now the Eldwick lace is 400 metres, so just be aware of that if you're substituting. It's a similar amount of silk in it to Eldwick lace. Let me just check. The Lowther lace has got 26% silk in, whereas Eldwick lace is 30% silk. So in that respect, they're similar. Let's have another look. I'm just trying to show you different colours instead of the same one every time. If you can see that, it's really, really soft and fluffy. It's a different type of softness compared to the Eldwick lace. This is it's quite matte, and it's very fuzzy, whereas with Eldwick lace, which I've got for comparison, Eldwick lace is much more shiny, because mohair is a luster fibre, which is the same as like Blueface Leicester and Wensleydale and things like that. They're known as luster wools. So that's why they're shiny and they're soft in a different way to other fibres. Whereas obviously this is baby alpaca, so it's quite different, but it's so soft. It's like a velvety, fuzzy softness. It's just lovely. It's very cuddly. And my hope is that, you know, if you like fluffy things but you can't wear mohair, I'm hoping you'll be able to wear this, and that it won't tickle or itch at all, hopefully. So yeah, it's listed, weirdly enough, it's listed on the supplier's website as a singles yarn, but I mean, I don't know if you can, how well you can see, but I mean, it's clearly not. If you can see that, I'll just see if I can get the camera to focus on that strand. You can see from the texture of the strands that's more than one strand twisted together. I've tried to kind of like untwist it and inspect, and I can definitely identify 3 core strands. It's hard to tell because it's so fluffy, but there might actually be 4. Anyway, it's kind of, you know, it doesn't really matter. It's just as a matter of interest, really. So yeah, oh, and there's some lovely orange. I did orange. I love orange. Orange doesn't sell all that well, but it's one of my favourite colours. I just love it. So yeah, 50 gram skeins. So I suppose the next thing is to tell you about how it knits and crochets up. Now normally I've had this for quite a while, and normally I would have hoped to have completed at least one small project with it before releasing it into the wild. But to be honest, with cat knits happening and everything else, I just haven't had time. But I have done lots of swatching. I did at least manage to get that done. So I shall show you these. So this first one is a 2.5mm needles. I'll be honest, it was quite hard to use this yarn on 2.5mm needles. I don't really recommend it. I don't even know why you would do that. I just needed to try it. It's a very dense fuzzy fabric. It almost looks felted. You kind of can't really see the stitches very much. And obviously up to the light there you can see. So like I say, I have no idea why you would use it on 2.5mm needles, and I don't really recommend it. But, you know, you don't know till you try these things, do you? So I'll just pop that over there. So that's 2.5. Now I did 3.5. I think 3.5mm needles are probably my most used needle size. You know, I use 3.5 for 4-ply and like fluffy lace automatically, really. For me, for where my tension's at, a 4mm is just that bit too big, a 3mm is just that bit too small. So that's a 3.5. Now I would choose that fabric. That's nice for me. It's just open and light enough that it was easy enough to do, but it's not so open that I'm gonna get a draft because I always feel the cold. So, and I'll just grab the tape measure. I don't know if I can actually count these stitches very easily. Just try and give you an estimate of what the tension is. It's about 19, maybe 20 stitches to 4 inches. Very unscientifically measured, I'm afraid, but it should give you a rough idea. So yeah, 3.5mm needles for me, and that's blocked out quite significantly, by the way. So that would be my go-to sort of tension that I would choose for this yarn on its own. I did also try 4.5mm needles, and I'm sure a lot of people will really like this sort of fabric as well. It's much more open, very light and airy, but again, not so much that it kind of looks like a dish rag. And just to compare it to the 3.5, if I can wrangle those, can you hopefully see that? 3.5, 4.5. You can see the difference there. Okay, so that's knitting. I didn't, I thought it was a bit kind of pointless to try in between sizes. So they should hopefully give you a rough idea. I did also crochet with it. I did, again, I think this was a 3.5. It was a few weeks ago and a lot's happened since then, so I really should have labelled them and I've just forgotten. But I think that's a 3.5 hook. I tried a few different types of stitches. So there's single crochet, double crochet and treble at the top. I think that's what it is. I sort of know how to do them, but I forget the names. Oh, there you go. You can see through the light there. I found this hard to crochet with because I couldn't see the stitches. So you kind of just have to let your hook go where your hook wants to go, if that makes sense. And I know you do that anyway for crochet, but with this yarn particularly, you have to kind of be able to feel where the hook's going rather than relying on seeing. And then I did I think that was a 5mm hook, which was obviously much easier to see the stitches. And if you like very lacy crochet, that would totally work. My crochet swatches just are not very neat. I think I struggled to get them neat, but I hope that's helpful to see anyway. So that's those. So that's how they knit and crochet. This yarn knits and crochets up on its own. I had lots of questions in the garden about how it would work with other yarns, because of course when you get fluff, what do we do with it? We hold it double with other yarns. Well, I do anyway. I'm a bit obsessed with it really, but anyway. So the first one I've got is Lowther lace, held double with Nate before ply. Now Nate before ply, I don't know if you can see how sparkly it is in this light actually. It's got silver sparkles to it. So that is Nate being Briar Rose. So I held it double with the Lowther lace that I've used for all this is Thunder. And so hopefully you can see this, how that's sparkling and how the fabric looks. I don't know whether the light's much good in here. I shall see when I watch this video back. Anyway, I really like this fabric. Oh, I used, what did I use? I think 4.5mm needles. I really wish I'd labelled these swatches. Label your swatches, people. Don't rely on your memory. I'm sure it's 4.5 because I was testing it in relation to our forgot the name, hang on. Of course it is, I knew it began with an L. I'm losing the plot. Our Laverton shawl, my Laverton shawl, is 4.5mm needles, and I was testing to see whether you would be able to substitute this yarn for the Eldwick lace, i.e. how would it look held double with 4-ply, and the answer is it's lovely. It's got a bit more of a tweedy effect, a mild effect compared to the mohair. I think the mohair diffuses itself more readily, whereas this, being more of a close fuzz, creates a more mild sort of tweedy effect, and I really like that. You've still got, can you see that fluffy halo? You've still got that, but it doesn't sort of stick out maybe as much. I'll just plonk that there. As much as mohair. I'm wearing mohair actually. That sticks out a lot. Anyway, right. Next thing that I tried combining it with, I was like, oh, can you imagine fluff on fluff? And this is something I've been asked about, whether it would be too fluffy. So, Coniston fingering, which is merino and mohair, and it has its own little fluffy halo. Oh, the light there, that's horrible. Oh, that's better. Hopefully you can see that. So, held double. So that's merino mohair for the fingering weight, held with the baby alpaca fluff. And yeah, I mean, they're the same colour as well, by the way. They're both Thunder. And actually you can see how much darker the Coniston Thunder is compared to the Lowther lace Thunder. So the Lowther lace, it, like the mohair as well, takes the colours quite differently for some of them. So just be aware of that. Don't expect it to be an exact match. Not that it really would for hand-dyed yarn anyway, but yeah, you can see those two, they're quite different. And then, so that's them blended together. Again, got a bit of a tweedy effect going on there, because the Coniston's got that lustre to it, which the Lowther doesn't. But I mean, you know, I love that. I love that. Again, 4.5mm needles. I just love that. A jumper in that would be amazing. I'll just plonk that there. Okay, so the answer is 4-ply, held double with Lowther lace. Works beautifully, and I'm sure we all expected that, but you need to know, don't you? You need to check. And like I say, it depends on your tension, but for me, I would go with 4.5mm needles for that. I did also try it held with Milburn double knit as well. So we were thinking about the damson, because this colour's discontinued for both Milburn 4-ply and double knit, and we were just kind of going, oh, I wonder what that's like with the Lowther lace. As we do, we mull these things over. So that's how it looks. I think that's really nice. It's really pretty. Again, you've really got that sort of tweedy, mild effect. There's probably a better word for it. Because you've got the shine of the Milburn double knit, and then you've got that little bit of the contrast of the fuzz of the Lowther lace. But yeah, I think that looks really nice together. I'd wear a jumper in that. I'll just plug that there. We just while I'm here, we do also do Milburn 4-ply and damson as well. It's a really nice purple. So that is it, mixed with other yarns that I've tried so far. Obviously there's so many combinations that we could try. Oh, I didn't actually try it held double with itself. However, this, if you can see it, is my Cumulus blouse by, I think it's Petite Knit. It's on Ravelry anyway. And this is Eldwick lace held double. And I've put this on because I just keep thinking, oh, you could totally, you know, if Eldwick lace works held double for this, then Lowther lace, it's going to work as well. So I recommend this pattern actually. It hardly uses any yarn, and it's quick because the yarn is held double on and you use big needles, and it's easy. Oh, it's just fantastic, and it's so lightweight, but it's so warm. I mean, I'm quite hot right now, and it's not that warm outside. But you know, if you're out walking with the dogs or whatever, you could wear this, take it off, and stuff it in your bag when you get warm. Which I always think is very practical. I like to be practical. So I'll just have a look at my other questions. Oh, colours, mixing colours. Yes, that's a really good one. So when it comes to mixing fluffy yarn with a any other yarn, actually, to be honest, I tend to go low contrast. Now I know that not everybody does, but hopefully you can see from my swatches why. And maybe I'm just really boring, I don't know, but that, I mean, you know, who cares. The point is, I tend to go low contrast. So the Briar Rose mixed with the Thunder is probably about as high contrast as I would go when mixing a fluffy yarn with another one. And again, I mean, they're both purple and there's still a bit of contrast to that. So because I think when you put a fluffy yarn in with your other yarn, what you've got to think is that fluff, it's going to overlap the base yarn, and it's gonna diffuse the base colour, but it's also potentially going to really muddy it. So if you use two, I mean, clashing colours, what you're going to get is clown vomit, is how I call it, which is just clashing. You're just going to get clashing, and it's going to be muddy and just horrible. So there are some higher contrast colours that you could use to work together. Like you could use something like this, like a pale, this is pale yellow, it's daffodil. You'd want to use it with, I don't know, like a dark green or something like that. I've not got any to hand actually, but let's say it was blue. So you used this and this together. You could get away with that because they're not clashing. They're contrasting, but they're not clashing. So what you're going to get is a sort of tweedy look between the yellow and blue. I hope that makes sense. I think this is something that I need to do more swatches in order to demonstrate, really. There's probably projects on Ravelry that might actually help demonstrate this. So just don't go for clashing colours if you're going to go for contrast. Contrast can work, but yeah, just be careful with it, I think. And if in doubt, don't go for contrast. Go for more subtle colours. Okay, I hope that helps. I think it's something that maybe requires its own separate YouTube video, maybe. you know, in all this copious spare time that I've got. But yeah, actually it's a really good question. So next, what have we got next? Colour combinations for inspiration, which follows on really from what I was saying. So I think for this, what I will do is show you the colours of Lowther that I actually did. So we've got Hydrangea, which is my sort of pinky pink. Cottage Garden. Actually, they're nice together, aren't they? Because the Cottage Garden's got pink in it, which that sort of pulls out. And then again, Daffodil. They work together. I really hope you can see this okay in the light. So they're really pretty together. And then I've got Green Tea. Again, there's green in the Cottage Garden. So that lot all work together. It's very springy. It reminds me of like tulips and things like that. Spring bulbs. So that's that lot. I've done other pinks as well. I like to try and cover different types of pink. So we've got like Dianthus, which is much more reddy pink compared to Hydrangea, and Antique Rose, which is pale. It's a cool pink. It's sort of a not lilac, but kind of in that direction, sort of pink. What else have we got? Orange, yay! Love my orange. Oh, yes, and Granny's Bonnet. So Granny's Bonnet is a mix of sort of pinks, orange, purple. Granny's Bonnet is the name for Aquilegia. So yeah, that's why it's called that. I love Aquilegia. So I've got those two. I did some blues. Oh, Meadow Rue. Oh, that's one of my favourites. I love Meadow Rue because it's like it's a dusky pink, but it's a much more greyish than a lot of my other pinks. So I hope you can see that. Those three are nice together actually, aren't they? That works really nicely. I don't know why I always put the colours together in threes, but anyway. I did some blues. So we've got Tarn, Larkspur. I love Larkspur. I think it might be my favourite blue because it kind of glows, but it's not in your face. I also did Riverside, which is a mix of like blue, grey and cream. Because of the fluff, what you tend to find with the variegated colours is that they diffuse the variegation in the colour and make it look a bit more like watercolours. That's how I see it anyway. So those are your blues. Sorry, my hair's in my face. It's really itchy. Some neutrals. I always try to do neutrals. I know they can look a bit boring when they're on their own, just in a basket, but I think neutrals are really valuable as part of the palette, because they make patterns stand out, but they make other colours stand out as well. So we've got Driftwood. Oh, I mean, that's just a classic, isn't it? An ECY classic. Driftwood. Bark. Now, the bark has come out very weird on this yarn, if I'm honest. It's nice, but it's odd. It's kind of a bit pinky in places and a bit grey in places. But anyway, it is what it is. That's what happens with hand-dyed yarn. You know, it comes out differently every time you do it, and it's different on different yarns, on different days. You name it, it's variable. And I've done Ash, which I've talked about this before. To me, it's grey, but I know that it can look a bit blue or a bit green in certain lights and to different people. So that's that. Oh, there's more actually. Green. No, I've done green, haven't I? Losing the plot. But that goes nicely with this. This is a Cottage Original. Cottage Original colourways they're generally experimental when I'm sort of trying to come up with a new recipe or something like that, or try a new combination. and I'm thinking, oh, I think I'll probably keep this as a colourway, but I'll just need to try it. And it doesn't have a name yet. So that's what Cottage Originals are. They're all one-offs. They may or may not be repeated. I never know at that point. That's why they're a Cottage Original. So that's what that is. I like these colours together. It's sort of peachy, pale green and grey, and then the cream, the natural cream. So I really like this together. And if it sells okay, then I think I would like to give it a name and bring it into regular production. And then the other Cottage Original that I did is this, and it's just a mix of sort of purples and pinks. I mean, oh, it's just so cuddly. I love it. I love it. Oh. It's just one of those yarns, you just want it up here, you know. So yeah. Let me just check what the next question is. Could it work on its own? Okay, I think I've covered that, hopefully, with the swatches. The answer is yes, definitely. What's the gauge like mixed with other yarns? Again, covered that with the swatches, but there's your 4.5mm 4-ply fluff combo. The gauge on that, I'll just really quickly count it. Over 4 inches. I can actually see the stitches on this as well, so I can actually count them more easily. 1, 2, 8, maybe 18 or 19 stitches for over 4 inches after blocking. Okay. Does it shed? Yes, it sheds. I'm afraid. I think probably not as much as the mohair, to me anyway, but yes, it sheds. It depends what you're wearing, to be honest, when you're using it. If you're wearing something that's got a lot of friction to it, you're going to get more fluff on you. But yeah, I'm afraid it does. That's something that for me I've never found to be a problem, other than when you're winding it, obviously, and it's whizzing around on your ball winder, you get fluff in the air, and it's really itchy. But that's something that I found with the mohair a lot more than the baby alpaca, the Lowther lace. I haven't found this as bad for shedding, but yes, it does shed. Patterns, right, okay, patterns. So obviously, because this is a brand new yarn, we don't yet have any patterns out that call for this specific yarn on Ravelry. However, because quite a lot of other indie dyers do this yarn, what we've been able to do is have a look through Ravelry and find patterns that call for the same base yarn. Now, I don't think this is an ideal thing to do on video, so we have put together a blog post of pattern inspiration for you to have a look at. You know, it's not all inclusive, it's just a selection to give us ideas. Oh, I'm really sorry, I need to touch my nose. My hair is just driving me mad. So blog post, yeah. It's not published yet, but we'll try and get it published as soon as we can after this video goes live, because I want to make sure that we've got written down everything that I've covered in this video, because obviously having it in text is much better for accessibility compared to video, especially if you're on rural broadband or anything like that. So for pattern inspiration, it's coming, and I will let you know on Facebook and everything when the blog post is ready for you to have a look at. Because yeah, you see this yarn and you want to buy it and you want to snuggle it, and then you go, but what would I make with it? Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So yeah, we will do our best to answer that and give you lots of inspiration for it. I mean, I'm the kind of person who would just buy it anyway and be like, well, there's 300 meters, I'm sure I'll manage to find something to make with it. But yeah, so that's patterns. They will be covered, but not in this video. Hopefully in the future I will be able to come back with a whole load of stuff that I've made in it and be able to revisit that aspect. Just in case you do want a bit more inspiration, this is my Lowther shawl, the one that I weirdly forgot the name of earlier. So Lowther calls for 1 strand of 4-ply held together with 1 strand of Elduit lace, but obviously as soon as we got the Lowther lace we were thinking, well, surely you could just use the Lowther lace instead. So in terms of ECY patterns, my first one would be this, and that's what I was referring to when I was doing the swatches, because I was thinking, well, I need to do these swatches to make sure that I can recommend it for Lowther. There you go, so snuggly. I'm actually sweating now, I'm roasting in all this wool. But yeah, I mean, oh. So for this, what you've got is you use a mini skein for the stripes. You can just make them out on the picot edge. It's, again, this was Nate before ply. It's slightly sparkly. So we've got Nate minis in stock at the moment, but we do also have gold sparkly 4-ply on the way, and that will be coming in mini skeins too. Just FYI. And we have non-sparkly minis as well if you want them. Anyway, everything's on the website. I don't need to go on and on about that. But yeah, so this is low contrast. You can just make the stripes out. And you can see that, again, it's Elduit lace, but you know, the concept is still the same. You can just, oh, I hope you can see that. You can just see, like you've got the silver in each stitch. You've got the silver of the Elduit lace, and then the sort of cream or brown of the main colour. But then you don't get that on every stitch, so that's why it's sort of a bit tweedy and a bit mild. Oh, I just love it. So that's Lowther. The only other thing that I think I have to show you right now is I mean, this is it being knitted up in progress, admittedly very, very, very tiny. I'm sure you can guess what that's going to be. So this is the Riverside colourway, which I am knitting up into a design that I have in my head, which I need to get out. If you never hear me talk about it again, then you know it's gone horribly wrong and I have ripped it out and given up on it. But hopefully that won't happen. You just never know. So again, I'm using 3.5mm needles for this. This is garter stitch, whereas the swatches were stocking stitch. Just a point of note there. Don't know what's going on with that loop there, but yeah. So hopefully that will be a lovely thing that I'll be able to show you at some point. I think that might be everything. I'm sure you'll be pleased to hear that. Let me just check my list again. Yeah, that's all the questions covered from the Facebook group. If you're not already in the Facebook group, please do come and join us. It's the ECY Garden. There are 3 questions that you will need to answer in order to join, because we're nosy and we like to know who you are. And it's, yes, a friendly little group, and we share inspiration and things like that. It's very nice. Little community that we've got going on, which I have to say at the moment, for anyone watching in the far future, right now the UK is on lockdown because of coronavirus, and so things like Facebook groups and online Zoom meetings and all this kind of thing are really providing a lifeline for a lot of people at the moment. So I'm just feeling really grateful right now that we've got this, it feels like a community, to be honest, that we've got going on, and you know, to be able to pop on there and kind of talk to people and get that interaction. It's really nice. So anyway, thank you for watching. I hope it's been useful. I hope I haven't repeated myself too many times. I'm sure I probably have. I hope I haven't missed any massive, glaring, obvious questions, but if I have, please feel free to ask us. I can always, you know, I can always do more videos. I can always reply on Facebook or by email or anything like that. And yeah, enjoy this yarn. It goes live in a few days, but obviously if you're watching this video in the future, then hopefully it's already on the website. So enjoy the yarn. I will let you have it, I promise.